Welcome to the Post Purchase Pro Podcast.
This is the only podcast that dives deep into post-purchase marketing to help Amazon sellers increase sales, ranking, reviews, and profits. It's everything that happens after the initial sale that makes a difference. We call this the back end. Love the back end, Seth. Back for another episode of the Post-Purchase Podcast.
Back again.
Seth, thanks for joining us today. We have a special guest, don't we, buddy?
Sure do, Sean. So we jump into these episodes every single week to bring you the best people, the brightest minds, the most successful people from the industry. And today is no different. We actually have somebody who's done more than $50 million in sales on Amazon. So I'm super excited for today, Sean.
Yes, me as well. So I want to be the first to welcome Mr. Dylan Frost. Dylan, welcome to the Post-Purchase Podcast. How's it going, buddy?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Nice to be here.
Well, thank you, Seth.
Yeah, Dylan. So we every week we do this podcast to really give sellers, which is our main core audience, an insight into other people's journeys and where people have been and then where they are now, so then they can get some confidence and walk through some of the things that you're seeing in the market right now. So Dylan, let's just jump right into it. Let's walk through your history, how and why you're here. How did you get into this game, and why did you create your company that you have today?
Yeah, I'll go as quickly as I can. So first off, I want to be clear that I have a business partner. His name is Dan Metters. He's not here with me, but I'm really bad about saying me and I when I tell this story, and that's not true. It's actually we. Okay, so anytime you hear me say I or me as it relates to telling the story, just remember it should actually be we. I do have a business partner. Yeah, I want to make sure he gets credit there too. But anyway, Dan and we have sold personally $36 million on Amazon, the vast majority of that from wholesale. About 30 million of it is wholesale. The rest is a combination of private label and arbitrage. And not included in those figures that I just gave is also the success and the revenue of our Amazon agency, Spotlight Brand Services, as you see above me. But that agency is a full service Amazon agency where we operate brands' entire Amazon business for them end to end, right? And we've got about $20 million in revenue per year under management, under client management there. Dan and I are also founders and creators of the Wholesale Formula coaching program, which, if I have permission to be a little bit arrogant, right? The Wholesale Formula is, one of the most well-known, largest, longest-running, biggest result-getting coaching programs for Amazon selling. Our students have done over $1 billion in sales since we've been doing it, and so I'll say this: a lot of Amazon programs out there are legitimately scams these days, and they're filled with. There's a lot of people teaching Amazon programs that don't actually sell on Amazon themselves, right? That's not us. We still actively do it in the weeds, and that's what our main priority in business is our Amazon business. The Wholesale Formula and all that stuff is secondary. So it's always been pretty legit. We've always been able to get great results for
Dylan,
people like that.
Did you say the phrase legitimate scam?
Yes. Yes, I did.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear.
That's hilarious. Okay, so how it all got started, right? Way back in 2011, if you can believe it. My business partner, Dan, he was at work, and one day he found out that the CFO at the company that he was working for was resigning. So Dan went to go talk to him. They were buds, and he asked him why are you resigning? He assumed he was moving back home to Vermont, where he was from, and the guy told him, no, I actually just make more money selling on Amazon at home in my underwear than I do at this job. So I'm just going to do that instead. I'm just going to quit and do that instead. And Dan was like, do what? And he's like, yeah, meet me at Walmart. They talked about it or whatever. And he was like, yeah, meet me at Walmart tonight and I'll show you. And what the guy was doing was arbitrage, and he demonstrated it to Dan live and in person at Walmart that night. And Dan was just like, this is amazing. It's hard to even believe. So what Dan did was he applied for his first ever credit card. He had never had a credit card before, but to start this business, he applied for a $600 credit card and got approved, right? Like the starter card.
Wow.
Like when you're in college, you know.
So he got
like,
the Capital One card with Dan Metters right on it, huh?
right. And that's how he started the Amazon business, just buying stuff clearance at Walmart, and then reselling it. And then it was about, he was doing really good with that by himself, but 4 or 5 months later, Dan would get fired from his job 4 days before Christmas. And he was, the way he tells the story is he's literally like crying. He's like alone, like in his car crying, because he's like, what am I going to do? And what am I going to tell my wife? And he decides like, all right, I'm going to lie to my wife. I'm going to tell her that I quit my job, focus on Amazon full time, because he was too embarrassed to tell her that he got fired. So he's told her. So he did. He really did. He went in there to his wife and he told her, you know, I quit my job today because I believe the future of my our family future is this Amazon business that I've started. And so little did he know at the time, getting fired was the best thing that has ever happened to him, right? Because it forced him to dive into Amazon full time. And so he started doing arbitrage full time. He had a huge amount of success pretty quickly doing that. Then he convinced me. He came to me and convinced me to get in on it with him. Right?
And what were you doing at the time, Dylan?
I was a printer repairman.
You hadn't been fired yet then.
No, I didn't get fired. I ended up leaving my job to do it. I did actually quit. Yeah, I just fixed printers for a living.
That sounds like a Kenny Chesney song. You also dance backwards in high heels?
Oh, I wish. Yeah, that evolved. Arbitrage evolved into eventually scaling the business to do actually buy closing stores. So it evolved into, when Sears was going out of business, right, all over the country, they had this crazy liquidation thing going on where you could talk to a liquidation manager and you could just literally like buy the whole store for pennies on the dollar. It was crazy. So we bought multiple Sears stores and just for like we're talking like going to a Sears and buying the whole store for like $40,000, the whole thing.
You did this before Mr. Beast.
Yeah, I did that, but yeah, he was probably still in high school. He was probably still in high school.
He goes and buys full of stores and pays retail though.
Yeah, we weren't doing that. And so then that kept growing, right? That was cool. But the thing is about arbitrage, that's just a ton of work. It was a job. It wasn't so much a business, right? Like if you weren't working and out there trying to find stuff to buy, you weren't making money. And so it was cool for the first few years. And then it became like, oh no, what have we got ourselves into? We have high paying jobs now. This sucks. And so what are we gonna do? And so we started investigating wholesale, and that's what and private label simultaneously. We were like, all right, this is obviously how you can build a real business with Amazon where you don't have to do as much work, right? So we start trying to do private label and wholesale at the same time. We fail spectacularly with private label, right? In the beginning, I wouldn't say necessarily fail spectacularly. We did okay, but it didn't do what we had needed it to do. Wholesale, on the other hand, we also struggled with early on because it was just rough. Like you buy stuff wholesaler from a distributor at a trade show, and you sell on Amazon, and like for 2 weeks it's great, and then there's that race to the bottom, and then it was challenging, and so we really had a hard time with that. And then really just one day it was my partner Dan it was kind of all by sheer accident and luck or whatever. He was just frustrated with the whole sourcing wholesale process. And he was just like, why do I have to go through these wholesalers and distributors? Why can't I just, know a product that I want to sell and call that brand up directly? And he was like, whatever, I'll just try it. Because people had told us that it's just too expensive to buy direct from brands, that they would have minimum orders of, $20,000 and stuff that we couldn't really feasibly afford at the time. So he just picked up a product that he knew he wanted to sell, and he called the brand, and he didn't even ask them if they would sell product to us. He asked them like, who are your distributors are, so I can figure out where to buy your product. And they were like, well, you could just buy from us direct. And he was like, what? Okay, well, what's your minimum order? And then they said $500, and he was like, what? And so really just by accident, we developed the reverse sourcing wholesale strategy, which is to cut out middlemen, cut out wholesalers, trade shows, to cut out distributors, and go find best-selling products on Amazon, name brand products, and try to open up a direct account with those brands. Now, that first one we got lucky, because the next like 50 we called all told us to, kick rocks and that they don't sell to Amazon sellers directly or whatever. And so then that would created the next evolution where we realized, well, why are they telling us no, that they don't want Amazon sellers? And it's really because all their Amazon sellers that they're used to dealing with sucked. And once we learned to add value and provide value and be a partner for them, a retail partner on the Amazon channel, they started, it got to the point where people were calling us, wanting us to sell their product, right?
Wow.
So it just massively blew up, and eventually got to this point where we are now with the agency, where now we don't even pay for product anymore. The way our wholesale business evolved was like, yeah, we used to reach out to a brand to sell their product, talk to them about all the ways that we can improve their presence on Amazon, and then we would buy from them wholesale at a great rate, a profitable rate for us. But we've gotten so good at it now where we reach out to these brands and we manage their sales on Amazon, right? Which is the best for everybody. They get to own the platform themselves, and we manage it for a fee, really high fees, really strong fees, but it's a mutually beneficial relationship. So now I don't even have the cost of carrying inventory anymore, and I'm still able to sell $20 million a year worth of product on Amazon, managing other people's portfolios and products and brands.
This is crazy, Dylan. I have to unpack some of this. So basically, you're a copy machine repairman or a printer repairman, and your soon-to-be business partner, Dan, had lost his job. So
that's right.
He's in Walmart with a scanner, scanning products, using the arbitrage model, listing these on Amazon. So basically, he becomes a full-time shopper, and Amazon's doing all of the easy work, right?
That's
so
right.
Then you have an epiphany, and you're like, wait a second, how can I get consistent supply of inventory? Oh, wait, I'll go to wholesalers or brand owners and buy wholesale, leaving enough room to retail on Amazon. Now, Seth and I have sold over $153 million on Amazon, but 100% of that was private label because, like you, I started with a scanner going and buying product. Then I was buying truckloads of returns, which turned out to be a huge catastrophe. I'm sure you've heard some more stories about that.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, Dylan, I think your wholesale formula is by far better than any of the models that we worked with, because we were doing wholesale formula, but it was drop shipping from China, which is ridiculous. We have absolutely no control. We have no visibility. I mean, we made a lot of money, but it was a headache. Like you said, it's a full-time job. It's not really a business. So I'm just like, I'm blown away at the success of the wholesale formula. Our mutual friend, Wilson Matos, has been bragging about you forever. He actually put us on the phone ages ago, it seems now, like over a year ago. And I just couldn't get enough audience with you. I wanted to learn more about the wholesale formula, Seth. So I'm stoked today because we get to unpack a lot of what's going on inside of Dylan's brilliant mind. And I'm just super stoked about it. So for those of you that are streaming live, you're watching us on YouTube, Facebook, feel free to just ask in the comments under this video any questions you have for Dylan. We'll post those and have Dylan answer them. But for now, Dylan, if you don't mind, what's the biggest mistake that you see sellers like us making that could be avoided if they just had a better system?
Yeah, actually, so I came prepared, if you can believe this. I came prepared for this interview, and I've got 3 secrets that I wanted to share. And this is actually going to be one of those secrets that I think it relates to that question that you just asked. So just a little bit of background about me and my strengths, right? So for our company, for Spotlight Brand Services, we've got over 20 plus employees that work on our team and make up our team. My role is our chief strategy officer. My superpower, as it were, is I can look at a product on Amazon. I can look at a brand or a listing on Amazon, and in 20 minutes, I can completely figure out 4 or 5 things, strategical things, small things that can be changed or fixed or improved to dramatically increase the sales of that product, just because I've been doing this so long. Well, Dan and me have been selling on Amazon. It's been like almost 12 years now. It's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, I've just lived it for so long. I've seen everything that I just know how to make products sell better on Amazon, right? So I over years have kind of developed a sixth sense about being able to find little things and do that for the brands that we work with and stuff like that. So that's just a little bit of background about me and what I do on a daily basis with
Sure.
our company is lead the strategy for brands. So what's the biggest mistake that people that I'm seeing making from brands, from private label sellers, from just anyone out there on Amazon? And it's not understanding the shift of mobile when it comes to Amazon. I think not prioritizing mobile. So like a big mistake that I see a lot of sellers do is like doing all their work from their desktop and using desktop mode, because that's, you got to quit doing that. First of all, when you are looking at your listing, when you are using Amazon and browsing Amazon, you need to be doing it from a mobile version, because we have reached that point now where the majority of Amazon's search traffic is now happening via mobile. Now we're not quite at the point where most of the majority of the purchasing is happening in mobile, but we're like, I'm talking like it'll happen this year kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's like 60% of traffic is mobile and like 48% of sales are mobile.
Wow.
But there's going to be the big crossover, and I think it's going to be this year. So obviously, with mobile being, it should be your priority in your listing building. Okay, mobile should be the priority in your listing building, in the way that you think you think about your marketing and your presentation of your product. It needs to be from that mobile forward aspect, right? Because I'll meet with brands, I'll meet with other sellers that we work with and consult with and manage, right? And I'll ask them, like, have you ever looked at your product on mobile? And they're just like, no, not really. I'm just, they're so used
Why
to
would I
just
do
looking
that?
at
I
it.
work on a desktop, right?
Right. They're just so used to, like, when they sit down for work, they're doing it on a desktop, not necessarily on their phone. So one of the things that, like, if you are one of these people that has been making this mistake and not prioritizing mobile, I'm about to tell you something really important, one of these big secrets, and that is the explosion of mobile has made the most important part of your Amazon listing, not the parts that are in search. We'll talk about that in a second. But the most important part of your Amazon listing, once people have clicked it, is your carousel image number 2. So what I mean by that is you have your main image, right? But then your next image, carousel number 2, right? The second image that people can see, that's the most important part of your entire listing. And it also needs to be where your most important piece of sales copy is, because that's the thing that most of the people that will click your listing will see. So you can do it right now. If you're watching right now, you can go to Amazon and you can go to Amazon and click any listing on mobile. And what you will find is that's the first thing that Amazon shows them. You go to it and it's literally your main image. And then the next thing that you can see, and no matter what you do, if you swipe left or right or you scroll down, is that carousel image number 2, which means it's what the most amount of people see when they go to your listing. And so making it the most important thing. So there, back in the day, I say back in the day, but back in like 2014, 2015, 2016, like when you thought of copy on Amazon, you thought your title and your bullets. Your bullets are almost meaningless now. Your bullets, your information that needs to be communicated in the listing, it needs to be communicated in the images now, because on mobile it shows in every one of those. Whether you swipe left or right or you swipe up and down, you get to see all those images. So your images are your copy now, and that's the thing that a lot of people aren't realizing, aren't aware of. Like you have to communicate everything as importantly as possible in your images, and then in your A+ as well. So Amazon has become basically image based for communicating information about your product now. That's the high priority part, is your images, and then your A+ content. You want to communicate everything succinctly, quickly, and the best benefits of your product in those images. And that most important one that communicates your killer app needs to be that carousel image number 2.
Carousel.
Dylan, this is amazing.
This is crazy. Isn't it?
It's crazy. So
Hey,
Dylan,
Seth.
we drive a ton of traffic to Amazon listings, because that's what our job is at Post Purchase Pro. We drive customers back to Amazon to buy more. And what drives me crazy is some of the stuff you're talking about is they, a seller will come to us and be like, drive more traffic for us. How can we get more traffic? And then you look at their listing and it's like, well, this is never going to convert anyways. So you can drive all the traffic that you want, but if you don't know what you just said, that where my customers buying and then how to present to that customer, they're never going to buy anyways. So great points. So Dylan, since you came prepared, I'll just jump into it. Dylan, what's secret number 2?
Now, before you answer this, Dylan,
we need to pause just a moment for a word from our local sponsors here. So stand by. As you know, Seth and I don't sell anything on the show at the Post Purchase Podcast. So why don't you do us a favor right now? If you'll just go to your favorite podcast platform and just like us and review us, write us a review, give us a star rating. We'd sure appreciate it, and it will help other entrepreneurs like you easily find our show. Thank you. Okay, Dylan.
Secret number 2, Dylan.
Okay, so related to what you were just saying, when it comes to conversion and driving traffic to listings that don't convert, if you drive traffic to a listing that doesn't convert well, it actually will go down in search rank. You will hurt your search rank, and you will kill your product faster than it would have organically killed itself. Okay, so that's a big problem. So the relationship between traffic and conversion is really important. That means the most important thing that you can do for an Amazon listing to ensure its success, that means when you create a new product or you create a new brand, and if you didn't know, you have about a 60-day grace period when you create a new Amazon listing that Amazon gives you extra search juice, so you want to take advantage of that. When you create a new listing, what's really critically important is that you've tuned for your conversion to be super high. And then soon as you start hitting some of the metrics for your conversion to be high, you pour on the traffic to exponentially grow your search rank, and which will exponentially grow your sales. And one of the most important ways that you can do that is to be aware of what impacts your CTR or your click-through rate, right? So that may be something that people here are unfamiliar with, but let's think about it like this. When you go to Amazon and you search any term, right? You go to Amazon and you search bath pillow, okay? What do you see? What are you presented with? What does Amazon provide you? It provides you a list of products that you could potentially click in search, okay? And so you see those products in search. And now I said earlier, the most important thing on your listing itself was the carousel image number 2, but there's a few things that are more important than that happen before people ever make it to your listing, and that's what they see in search. So you have to think about this. The first thing that people will ever see when it comes to your product is what it looks like in search, and that's what makes them determine if they're going to click yours or they're going to click a competitor's, right? And so this is really, really critical when you think about the customer journey and the mind of the customer that's potentially shopping for your product. When they look at it in search, what do they see, and why should they click your product instead of clicking somebody else's, right? So let's think about that. Let's say you just launched a new brand, okay? Got a new product, right? But in your top competitors on page 1 for your most important search terms, they have 2,000 reviews. But of course, your product is brand new, so you have 7 reviews. So think about it from your perspective as a potential customer. Why is someone going to click your product with 7 reviews when there's this one right here that has 2,000? Or you can think about it from a price perspective. Why is someone going to click your product that's $20 more than the other product that is $20 less and has more reviews in search when I looked, right? Why would someone do that? Well, you can get people to still click yours and still buy yours if you do smart things that are smart that encourage that click-through, right? And the way that you do that is the 2 things that you can control. Since you can't really control reviews at the beginning, the 2 things that you really can control, well, there's 3 things you can control, and it's price, your main image, and then your title, right? And price, I say you can control, but like I have no tips for that. Obviously, the lower that you sell your product, the cheaper you sell your product, the better it is, right? The more that you're going to sell. That's just obvious. But the other two things that you have a little bit more control over are your image and your title. And my recommendations that you have to keep in mind to give yourself the best chance of success is use differentiative language and visuals in your title and in your main image, right? So if you can communicate some sort of unique benefit in the first 50 to 60 characters of your title, or the first 100 characters of your title, it has to be some unique benefit. Even if your competitor has the same benefit, it doesn't have to necessarily be unique in that they don't have it. It just has to be unique in that it's not in the front end of their title, so that you are appealing with that benefit to the reader that your competition is not appealing to, so that it drives CTR for you, because the reader will think, oh, this product applies more to me than even this one that has more reviews, right? You have to psychologically influence them to click yours, and you do that by making your product appear to be what they want more than what the others are, despite the social proof that they have you beat on. And you can also do that by communicating your product better, or through the visuals as well, that you can do with the main image. So that's how you're able to be side by side with someone who has 2,000 more reviews than you, and maybe even has a higher price. You communicate through your image, your main image, and through your title, a differentiative piece of language that they're not communicating, that makes a potential customer say, oh, that's what I'm looking for, that's what I need. That's how you can actually dominate with less reviews and a higher price in a niche. And a lot of people just make that mistake. They use generic titles, or they make cute. Like, one of the biggest mistakes that I see is people like putting their brand name on the front end of their title, and it's like, no, what are you doing? You got to think mobile first, and mobile shows fewer characters in the title. And if you're wasting all this time in this brand name that no one's ever heard of or cares about, you just wasted your opportunity to show your killer app that makes people click your listing. You killed yourself. And so that was secret number 2.
Dylan, that's amazing. So we talk about this all the time, but we just use different language. We call this making a mafia offer, because an offer is like the discrepancy between price and value. And what you're saying is, no one's going to be scrolling through search and then see your brand new listing that has less credibility, less social proof, and doesn't offer anything unique at all, and then choose to buy yours for the same price with less reviews. It's just not going to happen. So what you're saying is, create a unique offer by changing the way you appear in search, so then you stand out, so you can attract the click. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely, yeah. And you do that with, your offer can be unique or different. You can include extra things or different things that others do, but you also have to make that obvious, right? So you have to be able to do that where someone scrolling through can know what your offer is and understand how your offer is unique, different, or better in like less than half of a second. You know what I mean?
Yes. So I think one of the biggest mistakes that you're drawing attention to here, Dylan, is that as sellers, we're approaching this not only from desktop, because that's where we work, but we also look at this from a seller's angle, instead of thinking like, what would the consumer want to see? Because probably most of us are also Amazon consumers. I always like to say, when you go fishing, you want to think like the fish, not like a fisherman, right? So think mobile first. And I love what you that golden nugget that you dropped there, Dylan. You say control what you can. You can't control your reviews out of the gate, but you can control what differentiates your product from another's. And as you're going through this, it's kind of giving me cold chills, because as a consumer, I know that what you're saying is gospel truth, because I buy from my phone every single day, and I never even stop to think about that. Think like a buyer, not like a seller, to make yourself stand out.
Yep, absolutely. We get that. That's an important practice. Is like when you're writing copy, when you're thinking about sales, you have to just think about the people that are buying and getting in their mind and walking in someone else's shoes.
I
So
love it.
Yeah.
So I walk in high heels sometimes. I walk in boots. I walk in flip flops. So I'm always thinking of somebody else.
I love that. So Dylan, having sold over $56 million and could be the single best Amazon product listing expert in the world, thank you so much for coming and dropping these golden nuggets. I know you have some more, and you have a secret number 3 that you want to share with us. So for those of you watching the live stream, feel free in the comments, ask a question, and Dylan will answer that live. So Dylan, do tell, my friend, what is golden nugget secret number 3?
Secret number 3 is 1 plus on Amazon. When it comes to Amazon listing optimization, 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 5. And wait a minute, am I bad at math? And well, maybe, but let me explain what I mean by that 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 5. When it comes to Amazon listing optimization and traffic and conversion, there are a million different optimization points and little things that you can do to an Amazon listing to maybe increase its sales by 5%. So like, let's think about it like this. Let's say that I have 10 things that I can do to increase the conversion and sales of my product. And if I do any one of them, I'll increase the revenue of the product 5%. Right? If I just close my eyes and threw a dart and, I'm going to do that one, it would increase my sales 5%. Right? But if I did all 10 of them, it would increase my sales 5,000%. And it's like, well, wait a minute, that math doesn't work. It's like, because you said any one of them would do 5% increase, but if you do all 10, shouldn't it be 50%?
Mhm.
The answer is no, that's not how it works. Because when you make one change and then you make a second change and a third change and a fourth change, they actually exponentially increase the benefit of the ones prior to it. Because when you increase conversion, Amazon rewards you with more traffic. And when you are rewarded with more traffic, you have a high conversion, it creates this snowball, right? So making one change can create a small result, but when you make a bunch of changes that create a bunch of small results, that turns into a big result, right? And so that it's that 1 + 1 + 1, it ends up equaling 5 or 50. And so making a lot of small changes all at once is really important. So we have a process in our agency. When we take on a new client, we have this checklist that we go through, and do all these little things that seem like that they don't really drive a whole lot of results, but when you do all of them together at once and kind of and make it all happen, from adding coupons to make your listing appear larger in search and stand out, doing multi-purchase promotions, cross promotions, stacking up tons of promotions in your promotion section as people scroll by, they can't miss it, adding A+ if they don't have it, enrolling in Amazon editorials if you're eligible, starting to run lightning deals as soon as your conversion reaches certain numbers, doing Amazon posts for your products, right? You do all of these things all at once, start early on, and you can make significant gains that you wouldn't have expected otherwise. So doing a bunch of changes all at once can significantly increase results and make it happen a whole lot faster.
That's really great. So Dylan, what you're saying is if I can increase my click-through rate by changing my main image, and then I get an extra, few hundred clicks per month or something like that, and then I make some changes on the inside of my listing, like all the changes you just made, where I get extra sales, then Amazon's going to reward me because they're seeing that conversion, they're seeing that extra click-through, they're moving me up in the search results, so I get more traffic, which means more sales, which is self-reinforcing. Same thing that we see with post-purchase marketing. So Dylan, if I can take a customer and send them back to a listing with an email, and then they buy more, Amazon sees that external traffic, moves me up in the search results, and then I have more customers to then send back to Amazon. So it's self-reinforcing. I love this totally, Dylan. So let's talk about a case study of when you've actually implemented this into a listing for a client or for yourself. You started at ground zero and then you made some of these changes. Can you talk us through what a case study would look like?
Yeah, one of our brands that we managed years ago, it was vegan jerky product. So it tastes as bad as it sounds. It tastes as bad as it sounds. Yeah, it's mushroom.
That sounds as oxymoron as a legitimate scam.
Yeah. So great multi-million-dollar brand, right? Good brand. People love their products, and they had me take a look at what they thought was a home run new product offering, and it wasn't selling at all. So that a lot of their single listings, right? Like this flavor of jerky, this flavor of jerky, doing really well. So they created what they called their favorites pack, which was I can't remember if it was 5 or 6 of their best-selling flavored jerkies, vegan jerkies, all in one big package for like $30 or $40. And they're like, oh, this will be a huge hit. It's a variety pack. People can taste the ones they haven't tried, and these are our most popular flavors. So they created the listing, put it up, and it was selling. They had expectations that it would do great, and it was doing like 6 sales a month.
They were thinking like a fisherman, not like a fish, weren't they?
So they had me check it out. I look at it. It didn't take me 20 minutes to figure out the problem. I figured it out in 5 seconds. And their title for their product was missing a critical keyword that they used for all of their other titles, and for some reason just like missed it, didn't include it here, and I couldn't find it anywhere else for it to have been indexed. And even if it were indexed, it wouldn't have mattered because it needed to be on the front end. So it created customer confusion, and people weren't understanding that what this product actually was. We made that small change. We did all of our other changes and stuff. A month later, they were doing 400 sales a month, right? They went from 6 to 400 just with those minor changes. And because it's just always stuff like that people don't know. Literally yesterday we were looking at a product on Amazon, and they were they were a brand that let Amazon sellers manage their presence instead of managing it themselves or having an expert like us help manage them. And it was a horse dewormer product. However, because the person who had created the listing originally just wasn't very well educated in the product, right? They're just some random Joe Schmo Amazon seller. They had listed the product as a horse wormer. And I stopped and I said, like, well, I'm no expert here, but I'm pretty sure this product, you don't want to be giving your horse worms. It's a horse dewormer. And I said, and this product isn't indexing for dewormer at all. And this is a product that's still doing $10,000 a month in sales, and its title is literally wrong, and markets the product as the wrong product. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm pretty sure, guys, here we can probably increase your results like 300% in a week if we just make a few of these you'd be shocked with how many people have just when you are running the company or it's your brand, sometimes you just don't see this stuff. You have to have someone else look at it, or you're too close to it. You can't see the silly mistakes that you've made. You got to have someone with that outside perspective to look at it.
That's solid advice. So, yeah, that was low-hanging fruit for Spotlight, I'm sure. Now, having tons of experience, and like you said, not just the charlatan, you actually have a dog in the fight. You're not just out there making this stuff up out of pure theory. You still actively sell on Amazon. That's pretty amazing. Tell us, if you would, for Spotlight, Dylan, who would be the perfect client to engage with your agency?
Yeah, great clients for us are ones that kind of understand where they are in their journey with Amazon and can trust us to make the decisions for them and run their company for them. So where we best serve brands is when they as completely full service. They let us take control and do what we do and know what we know and run it for them. And are also great partners for us. Many of our great partners for us, just being upfront, are ones that are funded and are willing to put in the advertising spend to make a product really grow and meet the expectations that are reasonable for them as well. So our ideal brand range that we manage is typically in that like $3 million in sales a year to about $10 million in sales per year, because we're really, really good at taking people from good to great. Right, like that's really our wheelhouse, or doing okay to great, and so that's our typical like ideal brand size and customer size within our agency, and we're reasonably expensive to hire, right? Like we're reasonably expensive to hire. It's just the nature of the beast. We work with pretty decent sized brands and get our clients significant results, and we can only take limited clients, right? Our plan isn't necessary to grow our agency to be super huge, because we focus really deep on clients, because we charge a retainer minimum usually of about $3,000 a month plus or a percentage of sales, right? And our percentage of sales is our big motivator to get clients big time results, right? The retainers just kind of cover our costs, but when we work with people, we want it to be about getting them results. So for us to make money, we have to get people results. And so that's why we earn our money through the percentage of sales multiplier and reaching certain metrics and growth metrics for clients.
Well, Dr. Frost, I'm sure most sellers out there are not looking for a cheap surgeon, so I would not apologize for that. Seth, what do you have?
No way. Yeah, exactly. So Dylan, do you have anything that you want to bring to our audience as a special offer, or how should they find out more about, Spotlight Services and what you guys can do for them?
Well, I've been involved in like coaching and consulting and training people for many years, whether it's in our agency and outside of it. So I would just say this: if anything I said today resonated with you, we don't have, honestly, unfortunately, we don't have any kind of services that are kind of are one-off consulting or things like that, where one of the only ways you can engage is pretty much the only way you can engage our agency is to enter in kind of a long-term contract where it's expensive. But I would entertain, if it was the right person, or if I looked at it at the right listing or whatever, I could entertain potentially doing some more standard consulting and stuff like that to help you to look at your product, to figure out some of those holes like I do for other clients and stuff like that. So if you just want to email me at Dylan at Spotlight Brand Services, that sounds like it would be cool for you and you would love to have an expert with a lot of experience kind of look over your stuff, shoot me your information, shoot me your any of the listings you'd like me to look at, and maybe I'll get back to you and we can chat about it, right? So low this is very low pressure offer here,
Right. I would not want to apologize for being expensive, like I said. So if you're watching this and you, like Dylan said, if or listening to this rather, and something that he said resonates with you, like it has with us, and you want to engage, is Dylan at spotlightbrandservices.com. If you're watching this, it's on the screen, or the website spotlightbrandservices.com. So Dylan, we need to wrap this in about 7 minutes or less. So tell me if there's one thing that you would like for listeners, or one idea for viewers today to walk away with in 1 minute or less. What would that be?
Yeah. So if you're out there running your Amazon business, I'll tell you, and I know you hear this from a million people, you've heard it, but I can really reemphasize it, is the reason that Dan and me are where we are now is in large part because we have failed every way you can fail with Amazon, and that's how we learned what works and what doesn't, right? So you don't want to be discouraged by failures. Trust me, literally, our company early on in like 2013 or whatever almost went bankrupt because we bought a really bad closeout deal. You know what I mean? Like, so trust me, I know what it's like to go through struggles or hard periods and stuff like that. But if you keep fighting and you keep staying motivated, I'm promise you, trust in yourself, you can come out on through to the other side. That's we all got to get punched in the face several times, but if you stick with it, you can see it through.
Absolutely. I love it, Dylan. So let's move into the last part of our show here. We have 2 fun questions to ask you. You've got a lot of experience, Dylan. You've learned a lot. But what we like to know is, did any of it come from a book or a resource? So do you have any favorite books or resources that you would point people to say, yes, this one really helped me, Dylan?
Fun fact about me: this is going to now suddenly disappoint people, and then now no one's going to want to email me to potentially consult with them. I've never read a book in my life because I have some issues with ADD, and so I've actually never read a book. I've listened to a few on like in the background on tape, right? But I've never read a book. So
I love it.
I can tell you,
man, right here.
I can tell you though, but I still do a lot of reading, but it's short form.
Yeah,
it's never long form.
So,
Okay.
So Dylan, do you have any blogs or places that you like to read these short form articles that help you?
Well, no.
All right. That's the first time ever, I have to admit. So great, and it seems like we've actually talked about this before at our beach retreat. So pardon me for not remembering that, but I like it. As Dylan says, if you want to be like me, don't read. Okay. I've always told my children, readers are leaders, but okay, that's by the way.
I will say this: I do have a recommendation, even though I haven't read the book. I have taken the course. Okay. And that is that I actually have the book right here, even though I've never read it here. I took the course and so I bought the book as like to put on a bookshelf, but it's called Made to Stick. Cool. Chip Heath and Dan Heath, which I think they're instructors at Stanford, I believe, if that's right. But there was a
legitimate duct tape on there.
It's not real.
It looks real. Yeah, I love it. All right, last fun question, and hopefully you can entertain us with this one. But what's something that you've purchased in the last 12 months that some may consider a splurge, but you, Dylan, do not regret it?
Oh, I haven't bought it yet, but I'm actually going. I looked at a lake house 2 days ago, and I'm going to look at one tomorrow as well. So I'm planning on buying a lake house. So I haven't bought it yet, but I'll be buying it any day now, probably.
You won't regret it, will you?
I won't. I won't regret it. Don't care.
Somewhere near London, Kentucky. Give me a call if you need to break in that new boat or break in a new fishing rod. Okay.
All right. We'll do. We'll do.
All right, Dylan, we so appreciate having you on today. And, we appreciate all your insights, guys. If you want to reach out to Dylan, it's Dylan at Spotlight Brand Services. Dylan, thanks so much for coming on another episode of the Post Purchase Podcast. Until next time, guys, we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Dylan.
See ya.